from all of you here tonight. Our mission statement here at Center Grove is we develop knowledgeable, confident, and responsive citizens through inspirational and innovative learning opportunities. Tonight, our Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led by Zach Alexander, a junior here at Center Grove, who recently, well, now a senior. So sorry, Zach. I know, the day after. Zach recently signed up for the Marine Corps, so he will lead our pledge tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Zach, and we have a certificate here for you. Not that I'm a little experienced in age, but I remember when he was about 2 years old. Okay, our next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second?
Second.
Let's go with Joe. Okay, public comments. We do not have any this evening. Oh, sorry. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. We do not have any public comments this evening. Next, we'll move on to our consent items. And just a reminder, these are items that we have all discussed, so it can be voted on, and all these items can be voted. Do I have a motion for consent items?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second? I second. Thank you, Mrs. Counts. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move down to our action items. 7.1 is to accept a bid for sale of Apple equipment. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. This evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the sale of all Apple equipment, and Mr. Taylor will provide you with some additional information.
Thank you. Okay. On June 10th, 2011, we opened 11 bids for the purchase of surplus Apple equipment. After a thorough analysis of the bids, I'm recommending that we accept the bid from Total Technologies Incorporated. Total Technology provided the best and highest bid to purchase the equipment. We have about 1,700 iPads and 320 units of other Apple equipment. And the total anticipated amount resulting from this sale will be $288,150. The proceeds from this sale will be used towards future technology purchases. Sorry, catch my breath real quick. We do this annually, as you'll recall, to keep our students in newer devices. We sell back in the third year so that our kids always have a device that's 3 years old or less. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Are there any questions for Mr. Taylor?
I've got one question, Mr. Taylor. I've noticed some of the bids in certain line items may have been a little higher, but we're taking the Total Technology. I'm assuming that when they submitted bids and when we asked for them, it was kind of an all or nothing.
You're exactly right. We don't want to divide up this equipment. Also, the winning bidder had the best bid for the iPads, which is the highest quantity. And so they were probably going to get the business, but we did evaluate references and just made sure they were the best.
Did they get it last year too? I know.
No, last year we did a different company. So
Okay.
this will be another new one for us, but came very highly recommended.
Well, I know this,
Yeah.
this is a lot of work by your group, but I also see that it leads to a good result. So I
Yeah, it
applaud
does.
you
Thank
and
you.
whoever else was involved in this. It's good to see money coming back in.
Yes, I appreciate that. I will share that with the team.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, where do you think the Total Technology takes these instruments?
They actually are based out of California, which is interesting because they have to comply with stricter recycling rules than we'd have in other states. And so they'll take them there and process them, and then I'm sure they'll be on a ship headed overseas. And that's really where the
Third
resale
world
market
countries.
is. Yeah. But we remove all student data, and all the devices are unlocked at that point, so.
Wash and
It'll be
clean.
good.
Okay, any other questions?
Is there a reason why we don't, I mean, I know that it's kind of like an all or nothing
Yeah. The State Board of Accounts requires that we get rid of our surplus equipment in this manner. And so in order to do that, we'd have to actually bring it to you on an individual basis to declare it surplus and sell it to them. So honestly, the labor associated just prevents that.
Seeing there's no more questions, I entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the Total Technology bid in the anticipated amount of $288,150 for the sale of surplus Apple equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mrs. Counts. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. 7.2, we accept bids for food service. Dr. Arkanoff?
Thank you, Mr. Russell. This evening, I'm recommending the board accept West Indy Co-op bids for food service, and Dr. Long will provide you with some additional information.
Thank you. Before I start, would the board indulge me and let me introduce Jason back in the corner. Jason's been coming to our meetings the last 2 or 3 months. Tonight, at part of the consent agenda, we promoted Jason to lieutenant with the Center Grove Police Department, but I just wanted to recognize Jason hidden in the back there. Now we're really going to make him work hard. So tonight, we're asking the board to approve the bids from West Indy Cooperative. We belong to a co-op when we purchase our foods. They completed their bids on May 1st of 2021 for the 21-22 school year. Upon evaluation of the bids, the school corporation food service department is recommending the bids as presented above. If you'll remember last year, the State Board of Accounts asked the board to do this. Even though we're part of a co-op, they ask each individual boards that are part of the co-op to approve these bids. So we're asking the board to approve the bids from the West Indy Co-op Food Services.
Thank you, Dr. Long. Are there any questions for Dr. Long? Seeing as there are none, do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the bids from West Indy Co-op for the food services as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Counts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have approval for the school meal prices for 2021-2022 school year. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. This evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the school meal prices for the 21-22 school year. And Dr. Long will provide you with additional information.
Thank you. Hopefully this will be the easiest vote the board ever has to take on any item in front of them, because this year all of our students will be receiving free breakfast and lunch for their reimbursable, what the federal government considers a reimbursable lunch. So there really is no charge for any of our students to eat a basic reimbursable meal. But we also are asking the board to approve adult meal prices, and they're not changing from last year. So an adult, a teacher, or a visitor would pay $3.25 for lunch and $2 for breakfast. So again, this is one of those things the State Board of Accounts asked the board, ask us to ask the board to approve these even if there's no change or if they're free. So that's why we're here tonight, and we recommend approving free lunch and breakfast for everybody, except the adults.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Long, but we've held the prices flat at least the last 3
We did. There's a formula that they use that they make us whether you have to increase the prices, but we've been able to hold them pretty flat. And, last year, we were able to provide free breakfast and free lunch too. So this is really good, and I think there's talk that this may become a permanent thing, which would be really good for our kids, because then everybody gets to eat no matter what. So.
It might encourage kids to eat that might not think
Sure.
about eating. Any other questions for Dr. Long? Thank you, Dr. Long. Do I have a motion to approve school meal prices?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the school meal prices for the 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Amy got to you first. Thank you, Mrs. Counts. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Our next order of business is to reject bids for miscellaneous school improvement projects. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. This evening, I'm recommending that the board reject bids for the miscellaneous school improvement projects, and Dr. Long is going to give you a little more information on that.
Thank you. We had worked with engineers to develop a plan to develop a soccer parking lot down on Morgantown Road near the Emergency Operations Center. Due to some design changes for stormwater retention that the county asked us to do, ended up increasing the price way more than we had budgeted. But we tried to also package that with widening Pennington Road so we can help improve traffic in and out of the campus. So needless to say, both of those, I think that one was a victim of bad timing and the cost of materials. The parking lot was more of a change in design kind of at the last minute that made both of those go over budget. So by law, we need the board to reject the bids since we opened them in public. So I'm asking the board tonight to reject all the bids.
Thank you, Dr. Long. Any questions? This is not something we usually do.
No, I know. And we're going to regroup and try to work and try to come up with a different way to do this again for next year. Still two important projects for us
Yes.
to do, just don't have the money to do these, so we can't accept these bids.
That's being fiduciarily responsible. Do I have a bid, or a motion? Do I have a bid? Anybody?
Trying for the lowest bid today, are you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Mr. President, I move that we reject all bids for the miscellaneous school improvement projects.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Long.
Thank you.
Next, we will look at approved preschool and latchkey service agreements. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. This evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the preschool and daycare and latchkey program services agreement. And Dr. Gabriel's going to provide you with some additional information.
Yes, good evening. In 2017, we entered into a contract with Honey Grove to provide for preschool daycare and also a latchkey program. And that was done 4 years ago. It's now time for these contracts to be renewed. I've been working with Adam McClurg with Honey Grove, and he's here in the audience this evening, and he can handle all the difficult questions. I'll take the easy ones. Just to briefly, we have tried to renew these contracts with the minimal changes. I've had discussions with principals, and everybody is very happy with this service. Things have been going very well for us. And as you look over the board recommendation, you'll see that this includes things like changing the date, changing their address, updating the school principals, and changing fees to reflect the changes that have occurred over a 4-year period. The Latchkey Program is a program that we provide for our students before and after school. It's available to grades K through 8, although very few middle school students have taken advantage of this. And the preschool daycare was originally designed as a program for as a benefit for our staff. That's provided the cost is paid by the parents to Honey Grove, although they do open that up for other members of the community, and that uses the PRC building as a facility for that. So these are, as I said, mostly minor changes, and at this time, I'd recommend that the board approve these two contracts, effective July 1 of this year.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel. Any questions for Dr. Gabriel?
I noticed in this contract, Dr. Gabriel, that the original contract was for 4 years, we're changing the term to 2 years. Is there
Yes.
a reason?
Just that it's 2 years and then renewable for 2 years. I think we just have been kind of taking that approach for most of our contracts like this.
Okay.
Just to give us an opportunity to review it if we feel necessary. And the renewal is automatic if it's agreed to by both parties. So either of us could say, no, I don't want an automatic renewal, but if we both agree to it, then that would take place.
This is in line with our other contracts.
Yes, we've started to do this with some of our contracts.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the preschool / daycare and Latchkey Program Services agreements with Honey Grove Educational Center.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Counts. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Our next, whoop.
Thank you.
Did you have anything?
No, that was it. Yep.
Our next order of business, approve commitment to Central 9 building project. Dr. Arkanoff?
Thank you, Mr. Russell. This evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the Central 9 proposed facility project, and Dr. Gabriel will provide you with some more additional information.
Yes, we had a presentation last month
Yes.
before, from the Central 9 director. This is the third time in the last 15 years that they've instituted a project like this. And from a financial standpoint, we've known about this for about a year, and as a result, we've built this money into our long-term projections of the money that's going to be necessary. The C9 presented a number of different proposals, of which the most expensive was just under $1 million. So we have planned for $1 million with a payback of 10 years, a level payback of 10 years. So from a financial standpoint, this is not going to be a problem, and as with the other projects that we've recently presented, this will not cause an increase in the tax rate because of other decreases that are taking place. And of course, Joe Hubbard is on their board. I don't know if you want to make any comments about this project.
It's, I think we're the first school that's gonna vote on it. I mean, it's a great project. It's gonna create a lot more classrooms for our schools. As you guys know, like the welding program, a
Yeah.
lot of our automotive programs fill up really quick. So it's, kinda adds additional classrooms and booth space for those kiddos. So it allows us to get more kids in and get them out into the world and learn trade. So I'm excited.
Do we have a sense, I mean, I know we're probably gonna be the first ones, and I think we, kind of came to an agreement last month. We're waiting on you to bring this back, but
Yeah.
the other 11 schools now?
But we just,
8.
all we need is, yeah, the 8, we just need 6.
We need
to say
6 of
yes.
the 8?
Yeah.
6 to 8.
Do we anticipate 6 of the 8?
Yes.
We do now.
Okay. Okay.
There will be
It's just working
future,
behind the
yeah,
scenes.
there will be some future steps in which the board would have to officially approve the financing after they get the aid approval and get their bond counsel, receive the bids, all of that stuff done. This will be brought back again to officially approve the financing.
And this was built into the budget?
The-
Into our budget
The
for this year.
payments,
The payments are?
not this year, of course, but for
or
next.
Starting next year?
Yeah, right. Yes,
Okay.
it's been anticipated for quite some time.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Gabriel. Although, do I have a motion? Oh, we already have it.
No?
Nope. Do I have a motion?
I'd be honored to make it. Mr. President, I make a motion, we approve the commitment to the Central 9 building project as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Our last order of business under action items, authorize additional appropriations, hearing, and resolutions. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you. Now, this will be a hearing, so.
Oh, where's my,
Yeah, so you'll have some things to say. It should
Yeah.
be-
Pam, can you bring that up?
Here, I've got it right here for you. So this evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the additional appropriations, and I'll turn over this meeting. So this evening's board meeting has been appropriately advertised as additional appropriations hearing. And Dr. Gabriel will present some additional information. I will turn over this meeting to Mr. Russell to run the hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Arkanoff. This evening's board meeting has been appropriately advertised as a hearing on additional appropriations. I will now open this public hearing. I would like to call on Dr. Gabriel, excuse me, to provide information about the additional appropriations.
Thank you. In order to spend money, a school district has to have the money, but they also have to have the budget, and the legal term for that is the appropriation. So this action this evening is to appropriate some of the cash that we have for additional expenses. These expenses are being proposed at this time either because they were approved after the budget was adopted, primarily, or because they are one-time expenses that aren't reoccurring. And you can see a list of what they are. This is a summary that follows the format that the state proposes that we use for an additional appropriation. In the education fund, you can see some money appropriated for salaries, some $143,000 for supplies, primarily textbooks, and then in the service category includes a variety of things that are primarily one-time expenses. In the operations fund, we're appropriating the money to provide for the stipend that we gave to employees on the 28th of May. And under the supply category, we have furnishings for the Emergency Operations Center and for the portables at Sugar Grove and Middle School Central. And again, a variety of things under the services category that includes the lease payments for the high school bleachers, and again, installation of the portables at Middle School Central, and under equipment, an additional vehicle. So these are the items that we are asking the board to approve this evening. This is a hearing, and after that, we would ask the board to approve the appropriate resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel. Now, this is the appropriate time for members of the public to comment on this subject matter, on the additional appropriations, or the information presented this evening. Are there members of the public present who would like to comment?
You can come up to the podium, sir. Sure. Just state your name for us, please.
Second?
State your name first, please.
Oh, Dennis Baker. None of you guys were principals back 35 years ago, were you?
No.
Oh, phew, I'm safe. The question I have is...
subbing.
Easy. Personal services, $76,000 to pay salary and benefits for an additional social worker that was added last fall. Was that in preparation for an addition of a component to the school as far as, see if I say this right, psychology? Is there a title given to that individual that was here? Are they just added to a team of people here? Is that person, the salary that they added to that, is that person added for a specific entity? Or are they part of a group of psychologists, sociologists, whoever you guys have to talk to people? That makes sense.
So that cost is a total cost. That's not just the salary. So that's total cost, fringe benefits, the whole 9 yards, their insurance and all of that stuff. That individual is a social worker. I'm not sure, would that be Mrs. Hoover, that you could address where that person is at, or Mr. Taylor, which individual that is? I believe it is at one of the elementaries. Is that correct? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Mid-year, extra support, counseling, social work at the high school.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not an outside individual that is geared towards something that is coming?
No,
to the future?
it's additional support to the number
A
of students
school
in the high
employee.
school.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a school employee.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any
Any other public comments? Thank you. I,
Yeah, up with the mic and just state your name, please.
Hi, I'm Jay Hart. I was wondering if we could clarify Ms. Count's question about the sale of the old iPads. That's something that happens at the state level, that the state says the school can't open that up for students or for people locally for those bids?
And I'll be happy to answer that. That's different than this hearing,
Yeah.
because this hearing is about this topic, but we can answer that question.
Okay.
Real quick.
And just if you could restate it, what exactly was the question again? Just
So there was a question, and Ms. Counts had a question about the resale of the old iPads, I
Yes.
believe. Am I?
Yeah, that's
is that
correct.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounded like you weren't able to open up that bidding to the students or to
Oh, correct, yes.
locals.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that is a decision that's made at the state level?
State Board of Accounts.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
So,
Yeah, great, thank you.
thank you. So, I now close this public hearing. Are there any board members who have any comments or questions concerning appropriations?
I got something else to.
Turn on your mic, Joe.
So I was gonna come tonight and talk to you guys about the CRT and SEL stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. What?
We're still in the hearing on the.
Oh, I thought you.
We're still on appropriations.
Then no, I don't have none on that.
Okay. Hold on to it. Okay, so are there any board members who have any comments or questions due on the appropriations? Just chomping at the bit. Seeing as there are none, I am going to close this hearing. And, okay, I now need a motion, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So do I have a motion to authorize additional appropriations?
Oh, that's all?
Yes.
I move that we approve the resolution authorizing the additional appropriations as presented.
Very well done, Mr.
Sorry, I know
Alexander.
there's some of these we have to read exactly.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Counts. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I would like to announce and remind everyone that we will be reconvening the executive meeting in this room after the board meeting is closed. So we will need to clear the room at that time. We will move on to other business at this time. Mrs. Counts, do you have anything to say this evening? Thank you. Mr. Hubbard, do you have anything to say this evening?
Yes, Mr. President, I do. Obviously, I know why you guys are all here. You guys want to talk about the CRT and SEL. I kind of had a big speech prepared. I've kind of cut it down after we just left our executive session. We did talk to the administrators and the whole team here about this. So CRT, I'll talk about that first. I have never been approached by anybody in the school district about wanting to implement anything related to CRT. Never even heard those 3 letters besides besides what I see on the internet and Facebook and things like that. So I definitely would oppose anything like that. But the SEL role that we just filled last month, after talking to the superintendent at our last executive session, he has so generously offered to invite her to the next board meeting. Is that correct, Rich? So you guys could ask the questions that you would like to ask to that SEL, because I know there's a lot of questions on that and kind of how that role is filled and how that may be, a lot of people, there's interpretations that role springboards into maybe some CRT things and things like that. So Rich is going to make himself available and make that individual available to you guys to answer those kind of questions that you may have. I know you guys are all here because you saw this mirrors and windows presentation that was given to some 5th graders. I'm just as upset about it as you guys are, to be honest with you. I know that, we need to, as parents, we need to trust our school corporations and who we need to entrust schools with our kids, and we need to trust them. And I know that this might have jeopardized that with some of you guys. All I ask is you be patient and let
Rich and the SCL and his team next month, talk to you guys and maybe answer any questions or kind of fix any doubts you guys may have. With Center Grove, maybe we can repair those bridges. We do have a lot of wonderful teachers here, we really do. And a lot of kids idolize their teachers, and my personal opinion is I don't think there's really a place in the schools for teachers to really talk about their political beliefs or sexual orientations or their religion. I don't really think that belongs in schools, and if a student knows that of a teacher, I really think that teacher has failed that student, in my opinion. Like I said, I understand you guys are upset. I know why you're here. Personally, as one of the 5 voices on this board, I'll oppose any curriculum that tells children they're either at an advantage or disadvantage based on their age or where they're born or their sex or their race. I don't agree with any of that. I hear you. I hear you're saying no. And if you guys ask me, if you want me to fight for you, I will without hesitation, and that'll be my voice in that. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Mr. Daniels, do you have anything?
On a lighter note, the golf team won state title. Football team won the state title. We had track stars win state title. Good things are going on here at Center Grove. Let's keep supporting the school.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Alexander?
Mr. Hubbard, I don't disagree with anything you just said. The one thing I would encourage everyone to do is to reach out and directly to Rich as opposed to taking to social media or whatever other platform. I think it's only fair to Rich and his team that he understands what the concerns are and he hears directly from you. I've never known this man to turn down a meeting with any parent. And sometimes he meets way too often with the 5 of us. So I would encourage you all to do that, meet with Rich directly, not just necessarily via email.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Well, a lot of you did send emails, and lots of times you don't get the answer you think you should get. That happens on a lot of different subjects. We have a responsibility to all students here at Center Grove, and we take that responsibility seriously. I can tell you every decision we make is always with the kids in mind first. Now keep in mind, we have kids from this point to this point and everything in between. And we have to take care of all those kids. I would hope you would feel secure that you see 5 people up here and the administrators who are going to do that. Sometimes it agrees with what you're thinking, sometimes it doesn't. That's the way that things work. There are no CRT plans in the curriculum or in the state. I understand it's on Facebook. I understand it's on all the news channels. It's the new buzzword. They are talking how it is connected to SEL. So it is hard to disseminate where is the truth, where is it being pushed politically. We get that, and we're working with that. I would like to sit here and tell you that at 100%, our staff will never do that. But when you have over 400 employees, something can happen. Something did happen, okay? And we are talking about that. But don't take silence as we don't care. Don't take silence as we're not concerned. It takes a little bit to figure all that out. You wouldn't want decisions made for you in an overnight manner. So bear with us. We are here for the best interest in the kids, just as you are. I have always told parents when I was teaching, and I still tell these people, whenever I have kids, they're my kids. I love them like my kids, and I discipline them like my kids. And that's the way a lot of staff members are. They love their kids. So let's work together instead of at each other. Let's work together. But we do appreciate you coming here, showing your strength, showing your support. Silence is deafening. So we do appreciate it. Yeah. maybe. But I did want you to know, we are concerned. And work with us, because working at each other won't get anything done. We all know that. So let's work together. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Arbuthnot now.
Thanks, Mr. Russell. I also want to thank everyone for being here this evening. I think it's great. I would love to see people here more often. As you can see, these meetings are super exciting. We really seriously would love to have parent involvement at this magnitude all the time. With that being said, we have strategic planning. We do that on basically about a 3 to 4 year process, and we are coming up with the next round. So I challenge each and every one of you to reach out to be a part of that process. That formulates curriculum, that formulates and informs everything we do in this organization. Every action item you've seen tonight has gone through that process. Now, if you remember, if you've been in the district long enough, we've had the CG 100 call out where we had 300 parents step up to be a part of that process, and they informed Strategic Planning 2.0, which I have to brag about, because when we put that plan together 5 years ago almost, heavy involvement in online learning. And we were ahead of the game as if we knew COVID was coming. And we were ahead by light years. And I have to also brag that we finished this year, if you were not aware, of being the first high school in the state of Indiana to be able to offer that simultaneous global campus program. So students can get a high school diploma in our district online at the same time as being in person. Those are huge things that we were able to do through our strategic planning process that many parents were impacted. We did much other work as well through that process. So you'll be hearing about that and a call out for that this year, and that will drive a lot of the work that we do, and in particularly into the curriculum. We follow state standards. Do we have people that sometimes maybe go outside their lanes? Yes, we do. Do we deal with them? Yes, we do. Do we do it publicly? Absolutely not. That's not appropriate. We would never do that. But we take care of it. And you have to respect that. We have an outstanding district, and we take care of our people. And we take care of our students, and we do things by the book. So I want you all to know that we do those things, and we take appropriate actions as we see fit. And you have elected these folks to do that, and they've hired me, and I've hired all the people that work for us to take those steps, those appropriate steps, and to make sure that we do things appropriately, legally, and respectfully. And we will continue to do that. But I am so glad you're here. I want you here, and I want you to be on the lookout for the strategic planning process, because there's an opportunity to really get involved. And then I want to also just echo Scott Alexander's comments on social media. If you want to inform change, pick up the phone and call me. Pam, my secretary, will make sure I return every voicemail. I talk to people. I will talk to you on the phone. I will sit and visit with you. I will bring you in. We will sit down and talk, and I will get you involved. And sometimes I get you involved more than you want to be. And I'm eager to do that with all of you. Yeah, Amy is actually an example of getting probably involved more than she wants to be. So with that, I just say I am completely honored to continue to serve this district. We really just appreciate your support, and we'll continue to work hard to do what you expect for our kids. And with that, I'll just turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Arbuthnot. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting. Take about 5.